Hey, wait a minute. Don't you usually do your game reviews in your basement lair, your dungeon, or whatever? Well, usually, yeah. But, matter of technical issues and time constraints, this one's going to be more on the road. So, I'll be in the warmth of my semi-trailer while doing some downtime. In the meantime, let's have a look at a very imaginative and wondrous world through games and film. The world of TRON.
Inside every computer exists a world like our own, a world populated by living programs. Here, programs carry out instructions given by people of our world, people known to the programs only as users.
And with that, we are treated to the world of TRON, the world of the grid located in the NCOM 511 computer. This film starred Jeff Bridges as computer genius Kevin Flynn, Bruce Boxleitner as programmer Alan Bradley, as well as the hero program known as TRON. David Warner doing a triple role as Crooked CEO Edward Dillinger, also Enforcer Program Sark, and the main villain, the Master Control Program himself. Also featured were Bernard Hughes as Walter Gibbs, company founder, and Cindy Morgan as programmer Laura and program Yori. The concept of TRON would involve a special animation feature called backlit animation, which would have light illuminated in the background, but also would be shot mostly using black and white film. The colors of the grid would be provided by this technique that seemed to be founded by the developer of the first movie TRON, Steven Lisberger. Steven Lisberger has also been credited to being a producer on the sequel, TRON Legacy, and also another sequel, TRON Ares. TRON involved programmer Kevin Flynn looking to reclaim his work stolen by Dillinger, only to find himself sucked into the digital world by the Master Control Program, forced to play the games that he created in a battle of life and death. Through his journey, he runs across the program TRON, which Alan had created, and looks to free TRON from his captivity, so he can contact Alan and look to get the code that would free the system and destroy the MCP, and so that Flynn can escape. The film TRON was not considered a box office success, but eventually did make its budget back as it became a cult classic, with people viewing it over time. TRON became quite a film that involved the exploration of the world inside the computer and the world of the digital. Years later, they would revisit this property with a game, TRON 2.0, with Bruce Boxleitner reprising his role of Alan Bradley. Also, Cindy Morgan as program Mathria, and a new hero character, Alan's son, Jet Bradley. The game promised a lot, but there might be questions on how the delivery might hold up in today's day and age. I will get to my views on the TRON 2.0 game later on in this video. But the TRON 2.0 game was visually stimulating, and it still kept Disney's interest in the Tron property, as they still saw potential in it. To that, they would make a new film around 2010 called Tron Legacy, which would have Jeff Bridges reprising his role of Flynn, who had disappeared from the real world in 1989. Ironically, the Tron 2.0 game would also say that Flynn had disappeared, but did not go any further than that. Tron Legacy would also introduce us to a new character, the son of Kevin Flynn, named Sam Flynn, played by Garrett Hedlund, and also an isomorphic algorithmic program named Cora, played by Olivia Wilde. Cora would be considered to be from a race of digital beings called isomorphic algorithms that seemingly had evolved from Kevin Flynn's grid, with the mystery as to being why. But also as part of Tron Legacy, Jeff Bridges would reprise a role of Clue, an old program of his that became a system administrator and was tasked to create the perfect system, a system that the ISOs were not part of. And the ISOs would be purged by Clue to maintain his image of perfection for the grid, and look to expand that image of perfection outside the grid into the real world. Tron Legacy was considered a modest success, although not the great success that Disney had hoped for, but it was enough for them to consider a third Tron film. But Disney would get cold feet after the failure of Tomorrowland and would shelve the Tron property for 15 years. The proposed sequel was called Tron Ascension, which would have looked to bring back the Tron Legacy director Joe Kosinski. But when the failure of Tomorrowland happened, the project was scrapped, but some ideas of the Tron Ascension film would carry over to Tron Ares. However, Bruce Boxleitner would not return to reprise his role of Tron, nor would Garrett Hedlund as Sam Flynn or Olivia Wilde as Cora. A new character would be created, thanks to Jared Leto saying he still had an interest in the Tron property. And also carrying over was a program named Ares that was the system administrator and master control of the Dillinger systems. As the quest would seem to revolve around something called the Permanence Code, which Flynn seemed to have developed due to his time with the ISOs. I've always felt that Tron could be Disney's Star Trek, as it seemed to have planted its flag into the world of the grid. However, to this date, I do not believe Disney has explored that potential satisfactorily. But while the movie itself did not do all that well, there were a string of games that came from this film. Since it was film was about a program on a game grid, why should there not be games to go along with it? First on this list is an arcade game, aptly named Tron. This is the arcade game that started it all. Tron. One credit, and the music starts. You have a selection of 4 games starting out. Your first is Light Cycles. You're pretty much operating Light Cycle using trigger for speed control. Don't get thrown. You're actually the blue Light Cycle. I know in the movies you were the yellow, the red, or the green Light Cycle, and the enemy was the blue Light Cycle. But here, it's the other way around. You are the blue. And this one, you also have, this is the tank game. You are controlling your tank. You have to use a rotator to swirl your tank gun and make sure you get the enemy before the enemy gets you. And yeah, the enemy got me again. So, with emulation, you're pretty much having to use the flipper buttons. You don't have a rotator to rotate the tank gun. And here you're also rotating your arm so you can blast grid bugs. You pretty much have to blast the grid bugs to get to the I/O tower chamber before the time expires, which is running down in the middle. And yep, you made it. Riding the beam up to the next level. And here's game 4. You have to try to enter the MCP cone. And here you're also using the rotator to control your blaster arm as you are blasting blocks to get to the top of the cone. You can get 1,000 points for if you hit all the blocks, but it's 1,000 points for entering the cone. And you also have to make sure your aim is pretty good. If you can't get the blocks, then don't try. Oh, well, here I did, and here I entered the cone. But here I'm going to try the light cycle again. Use trigger for speed control, and remember you are the blue light cycle. And try to keep things to where you... Yep. Or do you? Yep, you got them. Nice little panel there, too. And now the tanks. These are pretty much the 4 games. And yes, they get harder as they go on. You'll be facing multiple tanks in later levels. And you even get better. Well, that can be recognizers later on. It's it's 3 hits, because right now he's smoking. You can take another one and you got him. Then you go to the next level, it's the grid bugs. More grid bugs, more challenges, and you have to fight on. Or, yeah, you get overwhelmed in D-Res. And the other part of the TRON theme signifies your loss. And, yep, there you are. And, well, you get to enter your initials at the end here. The arcade game still has its charm, still has its fun. And yeah, you can play this. Oh, yeah. This is the MCP cone. You put in another credit. Even that, you get more. You have to blast more blocks to get to the top. So it gets a little harder to blast 1,000 points for all blocks hit. And it's a better idea just to get into the cone and just win it there. You get to the cone, you win it. Like now. So you enter the cone. Yep, 3-on-1, it definitely gets harder. And yeah, good luck trying to do some stunts there. And of course there is, 3 tanks, and it gets harder as time goes on. So you will definitely be in for your challenges here. Try for the grid bugs one more time. There was supposed to be a 5th game in this series, but they ran out of ROM for it. And we will look to cover that next.
It's been said that from the arcade game, there was supposed to be a 5th game to go along with it, but it did not make it to the final cut. However, that 5th game did find its own platform, its own audience, so to speak. That game, Discs of Tron.
This one is Discs of Tron. And, right, squeezing the trigger. Here's the instructions. Get deflex, end of program, each new one. Nice little instruction. And, again, I'm playing this off an emulated system. The flippers, however, just proved a little hard to do. That sight in the rear, you use that to try to target your enemy, but I've had to work without it on this one. So I couldn't really get it to cooperate with me on this emulated system. But again, you are trying to get your opponent, which is Sark. You are Tron, and Tron is beating you.
In this, there's also a version where you get Stark's voice saying, "Greetings, Master Control has invited you to serve on the game grid." You hear his laughter. You also hear, "You regret this," and then ask, "Had enough?" as you're taking a lot of punishment. Yeah, you see the target site, it's not supposed to go around like that. But you get a pretty good idea of what this is about. Do I play a better version of this? Well, later on. But I will get to that, as I said, later. And this was Discs of Tron, the supposed fifth game of the original arcade game, which found its own way. Not just arcade games, but home games as well. I'm not going to go into all that much detail about these home games. And also, one of these games was a very specific toy involved. Those games, M Network, Intellivision, and also a little something by Tomitronic. Let's skim over those right about now. First off, for the Intellivision is TRON Deadly Discs, and I just didn't get out of the gate on this one, mostly with emulated systems. I am definitely going to want to give this another review when I get a regular Intellivision, and I basically do my Intellivision series. Here I am, basically, yep, game over. That's it for me. Next up, Mazatron. This is the other Intellivision Tron game. In this one, you are playing Flynn, and you're trying to work your way through a maze. And, well, that's basically it. And here it is. Well, it kind of looks more like a circuit pathway. Oh, there's a recognizer. Got you there. But yeah, this is workable through emulation, but this is also definitely one I think I would do better with the main system. So yeah, a recognizer will show up, and it looked like there was a light cycle there. And yeah, you can switch over the polarity. Here comes the recognizer. But yeah, and you gotta stay on the screen too. I am going to want to take a look at this at a later time when I have an Intellivision system. This one is TRON Solar Sailor. This one I definitely could not get to work using emulation. And yeah, there's all the emulation material I had here. Alright, this is the way it opens. Unfortunately, no matter what I tried to do with the controls here, I could not get the Solar Sailor to move. I couldn't get it around anywhere. That's me trying to call up the button controls and not having any luck. So, for all intents and purposes, while you get a good graphic, I just can't get any motion. So that's definitely one to come back to. And moving on now, this is TRON Deadly Discs for M Network. And this is pretty self-explanatory, although it will lack a few of the bells and whistles that you find in the Intellivision game, which I will want to review later. I am not going to comment too much on this, as I think a little more in-depth commentary should be reserved for when I play the Intellivision games and can do a side-by-side comparison of this version of Deadly Discs with the Intellivision versions of Deadly Discs. But for all intents and purposes, you take a look at it, and it's pretty self-explanatory. And last but not least, Adventures of Tron, which was done by M Network. Here's a nice little Tron logo. And as soon as we get to the game, hold on. You're essentially Tron going through different levels. You're climbing up the I.O. tower, the elevators, bits, recognizers. And I guess that's a downward chute. Oh, watch out for the recognizer. This is also going to be another one that is going to be covered more in depth later on, as It is believed that this is the M-Network version of Mesotron. Well, we'd have to run a comparison to see. But yes, this will be also held off at a later time. But you can take a look now, and you get a pretty good idea of what the gameplay is about. In-depth coverage, however, at a later date. This I don't know too much about, but it is a pretty sought-after collectible. I played it once at the TVAR Retro Gamers Market.
There are 3 games on this little device: Light Cycles, Ring, and Master Control Programmer's game. I only got as far as Light Cycles.
I would love to have bought this, but the price was $350. A collectible out of my price range, but I'd still have to get it at some point in time. It would be several years, but TRON would make a return to the game scene as a PC game, which would stem some home game components, both slightly different than the other. One of these not just covers the computer game, but also tends to re-release the original arcade game and discs of TRON to go along with it. Game Boy Advance, TRON 2.0, Killer App.
TRON 2.0 Killer App for the Game Boy Advance. Story mode, battle mode, and minigames. And the story mode looks pretty impressive, at least from my view. New game selected.
Inside every computer
And this is
exists
the
a world
beginning
like our
of
own,
that speech
a world
they had
populated by living
earlier.
programs.
But it
Here,
also
programs carry out
explores and
instructions
introduces
given by
us to
people
the
of our
program
world,
of TRON,
people known to the
who is
program
revived
only as
to
users.
carry out
Now, the
the
ENCOM system has come under attack by
security
a
of the
sophisticated
ENCOM
virus,
grid, which is
released by
now
an
being
evil and
invaded by a
mysterious user.
sophisticated virus
TRON,
released by
a legendary program with great skill
evil
in
and
battle, has been
mysterious
called
user.
to combat this new and terrible
TRON is
threat.
back into action
Mercury,
along with a
an
program
advanced life
named
cycle program
Mercury,
designed for speed and
which was
stealth,
played by
also
Rebecca
finds herself
Romaine,
defending the system.
also known
The
as
fate of
number
the
1
ENCOM
on
system
Star
rests
Trek
in their
Strange
hands.
New Worlds. Fate of the ENCOM system rests in your hands. You can play as TRON or as Mercury.
I'm in. Perfect. Now to get
Strangely
to
enough,
business.
this user
Time to
does
show
seem to sound
ENCOM
like
a thing or
Dillinger,
two.
doesn't he? At least to me, he did.
It's odd.
But also exploring is
Seem to have a
Al,
corrupted file in
who
drive
seems to
M.
have found a corrupted file in Drive M.
ENCOM security has been breached.
The
corruption
and
is
the corruption
spreading like
spreading
wildfire. What's going on?
TRON is
Do you have any idea why
reactivated
I've been brought out of station?
and looking to explore the
That's what I thought.
grid. He
Well,
has
I'm
a
going to go and
companion
find
named
out.
Bit.
Care to join me?
And we follow along the story. We play the press the A button to follow. Saving game data. Do not turn off Game Boy Advance. You have your jump commands. Yeah, TRON, you've been in stasis for a while. And recharge stations have undergone a dramatic alteration. And he also gives you instructions along the way. The B button allows you to recharge as at a charging station. But then you also have to, fall off the designated walkways, just like the old days. So yeah, you fall off the walkways, you lose some life energy. So you have to stay on the patterns. In many ways, the game kind of guides you along. And you see some enemies along there, but yeah, watch out for that, or you lose quite a bit of energy to the point where you could die. Trouble already. See your old disc, see how it's doing. Your disc still remains its best weaponry. Press B button to cast the discs. And it also reveals some special functions if you, as now. A button to jump, the L button while in the air. So it's like launching a disc while in the air. So let's see. Yep, watch out for the whatever enemy is coming your way. Got him. And one more up there. See if we can knock him out. Up close and personal. Make sure if you find a recharging station, find it pretty quick. So here's right now a little jumping. Bit rusty, should take a few practice throws at the post. So you want to press the B button so you don't recall it too quickly. Again, it gives you some instructions on special moves as you go along. So let's take a look at this. See how well you do. Well enough. Let me see if I can move things along a little faster with this review. And yeah, don't fall off or you die. But you do re-res, because you still have a certain number of lives left. But also be careful when you maintain your control of Tron. Coming up to some new challenges here. Appears to be deserted, must have been forgotten here long ago. And let's use the old tank program to travel another part of the system. Yep, you get to drive the tanks. And the program's left to totally... Maybe no one will understand this. And you'll get through it. Yeah, Tron's pretty old, but... Let's see, B. Enter the tank grid. Yep.
Now let's see. How do we navigate?
And how do you navigate this thing? Press the B button to fire the cannons.
Fires the cannons?
Yes.
The radar displays enemies and mines as red dots. There may be
I got as far as the tank
If we're
program
lucky,
with this,
there should be some
but
power-ups too. We won't be able to get through until we clear this sector of all tanks
first. Let's go.
Let's go, Biff.
So, yeah, you're clearing the tanks. Okay, now you're with the tank assault, and currently equipped. Okay, let's get out of this. Yep, here you get to drive a tank, and you look for enemies, looking left and right. Old grid, but there's still a few around. So get your shots in and get them in well. Yep. Make sure you blast them and collect the energy. But yeah, also clear the tanks, and this is as far as I really got going to tanks, and had enough time, I'd love to explore this further. The tank grid has its challenges, has its rewards, and you also get some pretty impressive power-ups along the way. It plays pretty well. Simple enough for an old-school player, but you may run across a few twists and turns that, well, you pretty much have to work your way through. Along the way, you'll also find more enemies, like this ICP trooper. And he says, you're not as I prepare for de-resolution. Well, catch your disc and B again, and the disc comes back. So, again, more instruction. And, okay, I'll just be able to hopefully fight effectively. The ICP trooper should recognize them as safe. So, the adventure still goes on, but there's more to this game than just the adventure. You also come across systems upgrades, power-ups, and nice to know that kind of explains things to you. Have to relearn what they do as you collect them. So, yeah, you're in for a few surprises as you're trying to figure out what each power-up would do. You can also find yourself trapped in confusing areas as you're trying to destroy your villain, and also make sure you don't go onto the bad sections of the grid. So some strategy will definitely have to come into play, which again would require time and research, and yeah, don't step on the bad parts, or you... Oh! That looks interesting, but can you get over there? It's an advanced jump mode. Should be able to jump higher and further. Okay. So there's that. There's more that this game offers, like battle mode. You have like light cycles and tanks and recognizers. And I guess you also play as other programs. You could play as other programs with other modes of play, saying tournaments. Okay, going into I guess a nice little light cycle game. And there are other surprises here that I'd say this is definitely a game that warrants further exploration. And yep, you win. Play again. So what else could I do? Could I possibly do tank mode? Right, tournament. Let's see if we can get a little further here. Not really, but there are a few other options that were of interest, like the mini games. Yes, there's firewall, security, defragment, but starting off, you have the classics TRON and discs of TRON on this system. The pixelization looks a little different, but it is pretty much the same game, and it does play much like emulation will allow. Again, it's like you also have to destroy the tanks. You also have your light cycle game. You also have the MCP cone game, and of course the grid bugs game. Again, here you are trying to blow away tanks. Here you are facing the light cycles once again. Think maybe you might do a better job here? No. What about the IO grid? Do I fare any better? Well, let's see. If you're using Game Boy Advance, you're basically using the left and right button to serve as your paddle. And yeah, you also have to blast, get the grid bugs in proper position, and make sure they don't hit you, and get the clearing through. You don't have to blast everything with this game, and frankly, I see that as a good thing. And of course, there's also the MCP cone. Again, you're using the left and the right to control your blaster, and you also have to blast the blocks to get into the cone. So essentially, yes, it is the arcade version. Pixelization is not quite as precise, but it's still the same game. But what I really want to show is a more accurate version of Discs of TRON, which this killer app game for the Game Boy Advance allows me to do. 1 credit per player, insert coin. Sadly, this also does not have Sark's voice in the background. You're just focused on the gameplay. You've got your target in the back. You got the left and the right controlling it as the paddle reflects. The sight allows you to aim at your rival program. It is said to be Sark. And you also have your deflects. Also, you make sure you have your discs, the weapons. Yep, got them. And yeah, that icon really does help you with targeting. But there will be other specialty weapons coming your way as you try to defeat the program. You also have more discs to stand on to work with. And even the discs can provide some challenges for you along the way. It's like here you are hopping between discs, and sometimes the discs will be a little out of placement. 1 would be ahead and 2 would be behind. The red program would also have shields or defenses. You could also see, oh yeah, specialty weapons. Yeah, red's got quite a few tricks. And yeah, you got a deflect, which would be able to hold you back, but it's still... You're dealing with a program that has quite a few tricks up his sleeve. But all in all, yeah, 3 lives. This is this is a faithful version of Discs of TRON, and yes. Yeah, and alright, you're down to 2. But yeah, it's playable, and it is faithful, and you can also enjoy it and increase your skills on it as well. Just make sure you're targeted as... You're targeting your program well, and make sure you are able to get your enemy, and watch out for whatever tricks he may throw your way.
Penn Jillette once said, "Show people something wonderful, show people something amazing, and you will have them hooked." He said this on a video game documentary one time, and I find I agree with a lot of what he says. You take a look at the world of TRON through the films and through the games itself, and I myself found it quite amazing. It also really emphasizes the importance of setting when it comes to the film, and the games as well. Setting can help make a story because that is what the characters work off of. It is what they work in. And a world of wonder makes you wonder if you cannot go there yourself. Or if it's something that we could strive to reach, strive to make. What does this have to do with Battlestar? Well, I also found the original wonderful, wondrous, and amazing, especially the setting. I felt the setting of the original was one of its bigger strengths. But also, what was brought up was an argument of free speech. People saying that their rights to free speech were being trampled on when those rights were being used to troll and bully others online. When comedian Jimmy Kimmel was suspended for 6 days with the potential for an indefinite suspension, that argument seemed to reach the forefront of the public conscience. And also, kind of brought me back to a point in memory lane where free speech was an argument being made to justify trolling online in the Battlestar community.
Around September, the ABC network, which was owned by the Disney Corporation, suspended late-night talk show host Jimmy Kimmel for 6 days, with the intention of the suspension to be indefinite. People spoke out saying free speech was being attacked, and Kimmel's free speech rights were being taken due to political elites taking offense. When Jimmy Kimmel was indefinitely suspended, boycotts of Disney went into effect. People have said that they were canceling their Disney park vacations, as well as their Disney Plus subscriptions, Hulu subscriptions, and ESPN subscriptions. I myself looked into shutting down my own Disney Plus and Hulu accounts myself. But when Jimmy Kimmel was back on the air, I suspended those efforts for the time being. I also wanted to cover the TRON games and the new TRON movie, TRON Ares. But this brought about a whole new definition and angle for my BSG playlist. Beyond the original settings and wonders arguments that I originally had intended. Free speech would now come into effect. The application of free speech and the possible misuse of it. Don't get me wrong, the settings and wonders argument does apply. I still hold to Penn Jillette's original saying that you show people something wonderful and you show them something amazing, you will have them hooked. And yes, TRON to me was something wonderful and amazing. But I also cannot dismiss the free speech arguments and how they can be misused. Some people can say they're about free speech, but are they more about a free pass for bad behavior? And are they going to decide you are just evil unless you think their way is the right one? When the arguments for Battlestar happened, after Ron Moore and David Icke decided they were going to reimagine the show, we were told we do anything we can for our boy, and you deserve to be screwed. The critics saying, you're just not a significant audience. And to get a bigger audience, yes, it is all right to screw you. But also, there were the trolls and the clone handles. Trolls that basically said you were evil unless you agreed with their view. And their view was that Ron Moore's show was the greatest ever, and that we were
Nazis and enemies of creative freedom if we did not let him do things his way, even if we were getting shafted in the process. I did not see it as a creative freedom issue. I felt if he wanted to maintain his creative freedom, he could still do his project, but maybe call it by a different name. Sometimes premises do mix, but they go different directions. What I viewed it as was creative ambition of the audience of one at the expense of a community being assembled and discarded like trash, of which I myself was a member of that community. Still am in many ways, I believe. I was told I was evil unless I agreed with what Ron Moore did, and I would only be good unless I thought he was right, and I thought his take was the greatest ever, even if his show had not aired. A script, however, had been leaked around that time, and had been pretty much confirmed that, yes, this was the show he was going to do. David Icke said he wanted to win the old school fans over, but from what I saw, he really had no shot of doing that, mostly because it just seemed like everything that I saw I could have found someplace else, but also how the fans in the original show were treated. And were these trolls and clones, were they really about freedom of speech? Or did they just want a free pass for bad behavior? They just wanted to go online and just attack people for fun and let the moderators let them. Did they want us to fall in line with the vision? Or did they want to win us over? If Ron Moore and David Icke wanted to win us over, then that was doomed from the get-go. And it would be because of the critics and the trolls that were either looking for the damage they could do in the name of free speech, or getting us to fall in line with Ron Moore and David Icke's take. If it was about falling in line, then Ron Moore and David Icke lost that fight before it even started. And it was a fight that was out of their hands. When it came to the original Galactica, I was not interested in people falling in line. I wanted them to be won over by the original series, to see what the old school fans saw in it and love it on their own merits. If they did not love it, well, they had the choice to turn it off if they didn't like it. But they also don't have to crap or take away from those who did love it.
Now, through it all, they mentioned creative freedom, unacceptance of change, and diverse casting. Put in those contexts, you may think that this was a political argument. Well, it was looked through a political lens, and I felt it did not need to be that. And my issue was not political. My issue was creative. The creative directions he took, and who benefited from such creative directions. I will still explore these concepts further in the playlist. If diversity was the issue, it still could have been done through a continuation. There are properties out there that have proved that you can still have a diverse cast and still continue the original story. Some people may disagree with this choice, but Star Wars, they went with a diverse cast through the sequel trilogy. How that creatively turned out is a different story, but still worked with what came before, despite what others would say. An argument could be made that it did not go the creative direction they wanted, but still held out better than the reimagining than that Galactica had done. So the issue was never political. The issue was always creative. Now, as I mentioned before, I did not boycott Disney Plus and Hulu right away. And there would be those who would say I would not be for free speech unless I boycotted Disney Plus and Hulu on the spot and considered their view to be the only way to go. And while I can see the point behind it, would those who want me to boycott right now want me to be won over to their answer? Or would they want me to fall in line with their solution? And if I didn't fall in line, would I be evil or an enemy unless I said their view was the right one? Even if I disagreed with how best to approach, or even if I agree. Because there are trolls that hide behind the concept of free speech. And you have to wonder, is it really free speech they want? Or is it a free pass for bullying and bad behavior? Would they be using free speech to justify their trolling? Would they be using free speech to justify cyberbullying? And what if the speech gets too big? How would you determine the relevant to the irrelevant speech? What relevant speech would get the main floor, and where would the so-called irrelevant or disagreeable speech go? Would the relevant speech get the main floor? And would the irrelevant or disagreeable speech get shoved off to a private corner until it is dismissed altogether? With the Galactica fans, this was a procedure that was done, and may even be done on some social media engines, where the speech for the reimagined with the trolls and sycophants and clone handles got center stage, while the old schooler got shoved off into its own little corner and not really given much of a look. You can speak your voice, but your voice will be cast off into irrelevance because it could be inconvenient to an individual or maybe even to a collective goal. Also, a little definition about politics. When I was in college, politics is the art of getting what you want. Usually we associate that with arenas and labels, but at the end of the day, it's about what you want. And what happens when one doesn't get what they want. Regardless, the home computer game did find a platform, Xbox, and they rolled out all the bells and whistles for it. But a lot of those bells and whistles I'm not sure would play very well today. And I ran into quite a few technical difficulties as a result. Hence why I'm in my rig and not in my usual lair, so to speak. It's pretty much a time-costing effort because I ran into quite a few technical issues when doing TRON 2.0 killer app for the Xbox. I lost a modded system, and I also had to do some work for my computer. So much time, I just had to get these shots in somewhere. But here's what I got for killer app for the Xbox. TRON 2.0 killer app for the Xbox looks visually impressive. It is based off the TRON 2.0 computer game
that you could find on your PCs. Right now, that is a game that is more available on Steam. This is a game that honors the original Tron game, but also makes significant improvements. The design is pretty much the same, but also makes some new additions as well. And this also allows some special moves once you figure out and master how the games work. You can also adjust from original classic designs to newer designs. And yes, you also have the character of Mercury in this game. Unfortunately, I got very frustrated with this game in trying to make it work, and I really didn't get very far with it beyond the training stage. Mostly due to technical difficulties. And yes, this will show you every feature, every twist, every turn. But this was made for online multiplayer, and good luck trying to find an online multiplayer now. There's not many that would probably band together to play this in this day and age. The quest would be a little harder, and I wound up losing a modded system trying to get this to work, trying to get into the game accounts. Apparently you did need an account to get into this, and it would look to download Xbox Live, and in the process, I would wind up losing my modded content on my original modded Xbox. This is the downloading information coming in, and this is me kissing that content goodbye. So I pretty much have images of what you're going to expect with this game. Yes, visually pleasing. Yes, it also makes use of the backlit animation concept. You are able to make use of a disc, and you will pick up a lot of weapons along the way. But you also have to be extremely patient with this game. You are going to be banging your head probably also to make it work, and trying to get around the online multiplayer, and also figuring out how the systems work. But if you are willing to be patient with it and have a whole lot of time on your hands as you try to work your way through it, you might be able to have a good amount of play with this game.
Even still, Tron refuses to die. Around 2010, a new movie came out, Tron Legacy. There were also some prequel material made, a graphic novel called Tron Betrayal, and also another game called Tron Evolution. Well, actually, two games, Tron Evolution and Tron Evolution Battle Grids. Battle Grids was for the Nintendo Wii, and it seems more like a sporting game than anything else. I'll show you what I mean.
Tron Battle Grids for the Nintendo Wii. Well, Tron Evolution Battle Grids. It is based off of the Tron Evolution game that you would find on PS3 or Xbox 360, but this also goes its own way. It goes its own chapter. Grid games, championships, story mode, and I believe for this we're going to stick with the grid games, because usually it is a tournament game, and this is where you this is where you have a lot of your games. Light cycles, light discs, tanks, and you battle it out for supremacy on the grid.
Derez opponents to score points. And see, accept, advanced options. Yeah, the Wii control. And let's see, you also get to choose which one you want to be. It's like, and what your opponents will be. It's like which profile you want. It's like Cora, Bosch, Kalchas, Flynn. You also play as Flynn. You have Cora. Okay, I guess those are your choices right here, at least for now. Do you accept your choice? Yep. That one's ready. You're going to choose a few more. Hold on one moment. This is one of those I think I can skip ahead with. Got my players, got my opponents. We ready to go? See, continue, accept. Come on. Okay. Standard, weighted, select your equipment. Let's see. Yep, you also got to accept your disc. Urena, Tron's Dojo. See, pistons are locked. Okay. Come on, let's just select Tron's Dojo. And, okay. 4-way combat. Ready to go. Disc battle. Right there are the stats. Okay. Flynn Legend, Bosch Champion, Veteran. I don't know. I think I missed Rookie. Derez opponents to score points. Objective, scores points to win. Right, the light discs. The Wii controller. It's pretty explanatory. It tries to help you along as best you can. Just make sure you get used to it. So disc. Parry with proper training. 1, 2, throw the bomb disc. And power up attack when power up. Shake the remote. Training light discs. It's giving you your instructions. And health bar, power ups, hyper disc, pixel fire. Okay, shall we get playing? I guess that's me as Flynn. 2, 1, and you're pretty much just trying to throw the discs to take out your opponents. Ooh, the floor gives way. Is that a recognizer? Must be a power-up of some kind. So yeah, you also have a whole new dimension with this light discs game here. It's like you can be on a flat ground, you can be on a tall ground, and just make sure you score the points as best you can. And also, try to do a little bit of razzle-dazzle with the game discs as well. It looks pretty self-explanatory. So let's see what other trouble we can get ourselves into. Okay, lost. So let's see what's next. Yeah, and light discs grid capture results. Well, I was third. I think it was derezed 4 times. Yikes. Okay, back to basics. Let's see what else we get into. If I remember the story correctly, Battle Grids was kind of it was like the Olympics on the grid. It's like you're taking part in your team sports and you're just trying to win the best you can. Now, I don't go through all of these games, but the visuals are pleasing and the games I did go through were pretty challenging. Looks like I'm trying to do grid tanks. Alright, battle. Yeah, that's the motion controller. Accept advanced options. And, of course, accept your AI. Come on, sensor bar, work with me. I'll be back. Ooh, tank specs. Okay, standard, Bosch, durable, light. Okay, should I accept it? Come on, just accept it. All right. And there went a recognizer flying around. Yeah, let's just say I probably didn't have the best of room when trying to accept my vehicle. Okay, I get accepted eventually. Let's see, initiation, crusher. Looks like I got initiation. And again, it's the versus 4-way.
You versus the computer in 3 ways in 1. Flynn, you're a legend. Of course you are. And your opponents to score the win. It's pretty much the same. Although you're using tanks this time. You use remote pointer to aim shots. Alright, so these are shield, Z, B, fire. Z or the minus. I guess you leave mines. B, you press to fire the missiles. It's your training, health bar, shield bar, mind controls. Again, power-ups, health, and mines. And there's your ride. About to get into it. Flynn really loves his work. Okay. And this is the tank grid again. It's a top-down. You're just trying to blast the other people's tanks and just make it to the end. Ooh, looks like a little trash talk there. I'm not sure if you're able to do the trash talk yourself. But, yeah, it's just try to beat the others down last, and it's just a tank game with 4 players. Visually appealing, and you're also going to be having to figure out how best to use your controller, and maybe even the best environment to use your controller. I didn't really have the most open of spaces in using the Wii for this. So maybe that factors into something. The Wii is definitely one that works for your living room. But make sure your living room has room in it. And again, Bosch gets the game point. Now the game point went to Cora. Let's see. Alright. Cora wins it. Okay. Not bad, not bad. Unlock grid tanks, King of the Hill. Results. Ooh, dead last. What do I do next? Light cycle race. Hey, don't you love the classics? Except, come on. And I guess I just continue on with the rest of them. Oh, looks like I take it down to 3. I got 3 opponents and just 3 light cycles to face. What should I accept? Well, I'd say, the standard always seemed to work, so trenches or a hyper canyon. Looks like I got the trenches. And this time it's not a 4-on, or it's probably a 2-on-2. I think this might be either a 1-on-2. Okay, Flynn, legend, champion. Alright. Race through the tracks and cross the finish line. Finish first to win. And I don't get into all of these, okay? Here are the instructions. Light cycle race. I could have gone into plenty more, but this would have also taken a lot of time that my iPad didn't exactly have the editing for. So this one I might revisit at a future time when I cover, if and when I cover Tron games a little more. Okay, and here we are with the race. Just try to stay into it. Alright. Try to keep the space up. Ooh, careful with the X's, I guess. Get some speed. And, yep, up. There's your speed arrow. So, I guess if you've also been through a lot of games where you have your speed up arrows and your obstacles, this could well be along those lines. But yeah, it is the Tron aesthetic and the Tron characters, if you really love and get into them, that makes this more appealing. Some could probably see this as like another Outrun or a motorcycle game. Or it's probably what it would be like under the hood. And yeah, I got de-rezzed. But
if it's a Tron game, if you love the characters, if you love the settings, if you love what the property provides, you can get into it. And also make sure you have enough time in the day to get into it to get practiced with it. And yeah, you just... I'd safely say that this is a losing game for me. Even okay, there's the X, and not going any further. And yeah, I lost. No surprise. Bosch wins. Congrats, Bosch. Light cycle race slalom. So there's definitely some surprises here. This is definitely a fun game, and there's others you can get into. I enjoyed the visuals. I enjoyed the aesthetics. This is definitely worth a play.
While Evolution Battle Grid seemed to go its own way, what came out for the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, TRON Evolution, seemed to follow the movie more, or at least what would lead into the movie.
TRON Evolution. This is for the Xbox 360, although there is a version for it on the PS3. This was considered a prequel game for the Tron Legacy film, which would explore the rise of Clu's rebellion, the disappearance of Flynn, and the fall of Tron. In this, it does give you some instructions, but the play on this is very modern. The effects are very precise, and this does take you away. As you're playing a program named Anon, which is Tron's assistant security enforcer. It's like, meet Tron at the elevator. And you're exploring how to move, and this is not your regular retro. During the tutorial, your nav bit will be on by default. Follow the blue marker to your next objectives. So this will also train you along the way. However, it is not a simple retro game as it has been in the past. And also make sure you can control the program better, as it's obvious, I need work. You're meeting Tron. Bruce Boxleitner reprises his role in this game as well, voiceover. And living to a higher version gives you instructions, block and parry, fair major attacks, high mobility attacks like vaults. You reach your checkpoints and you're following along as best you can. You also follow the story. There's Cora. Olivia Wilde reprises her role in this as well. She's trying to figure out what is going on, as she is the leader of the ISOs. Already Tron sees that Cora's going to be some trouble. But not that that's minded too much, as trouble kind of keeps the game moving. And you're also, this one allows you to keep tabs of Cora. You're looking to follow her along. Follow Cora. You follow the bits as your guidance. Press A to jump gaps. It'll give you instructions. And be careful or you de-res. Fortunately, well, as far as I can tell, your lives can be renewed. But you also have... you have to have quite a bit of patience trying to control this game. You're going to have a whole lot of special moves and special features that if you're a retro player, you're just not used to. Like this one right here. It's like, hold B and run a wall to perform a wall run. I mean, have you ever done a wall run before? That is not something I have come across on the games that I am familiar with. But still, learn a new skill. And yeah, this I'm definitely going to be needing some work. But yeah, I look to get to it eventually. Do I make it? No. Hold on. Let me skip ahead to where I get to try it better. Well, that didn't seem to take long, but still, practice a little more, as you're going to be doing this for quite a bit. And any other, run this and press A to run up the wall and grab the ledge. You have quite a few surprises left in this, and you're going to have to master each one as you try to figure the game out. And here you're also having to perform a sprint jump. And press A to perform a sprint jump. Can I get this done? Not without, okay, well, barely. But not without a lot of practice. The tutorials will definitely help you out, but yeah, you're definitely going to need to practice this well. The adventure in this game is pretty stimulating, but yeah, you're also going to have to work your way to get to it, and that means harnessing your skill and improving your skill better beyond what you may usually do as a retro gamer. You would have to recognize and remember a lot of the special moves and practice them so they are automatic, which can be hard to do as, well, real life tends to intrude. And you also have other games that you may need to play. Games that might be simpler that you can review. But yeah, this is also one of those time commitment games. The adventure in this game is pretty sweet, as I've also skipped ahead to how it ends. But yeah, like I said, you got to be patient with the game. But I think you also have to be patient with yourself as a gamer, as you're going to be hard-pressed to master this game, as you can see.
It would be years before there would be another sequel. Between then, there would be 2 other Tron games, Tron Runner and Tron Identity. I tinkered with Tron Runner a bit. It is what it is. It's a runner. You have to keep a program running. And another is Tron Identity, which I played a bit. Have to get back to. But it pretty much is a detective story, a whodunit. I'll look to hopefully cover those in the future, as I look to cover the Intellivision and M Network games in the future. At the end of the day, we love to see wonders, and we love to be amazed. And you take a look at the Tron series of games and the Tron movie itself, it shows you the importance of setting and how the setting can help build a film. But we also must not dismiss free speech. It is a very important right. But we also must keep vigilant for those that would misuse it and abuse it for personal gains and ambitions, and to run down others for their own gratification.
Realize it's nighttime, but I think I want to demonstrate what I mean by misuse of free speech. Basically, it's those not really interested in the free speech itself, but more about the damage that they could do in the name of that speech. Don't forget to leave a like and click below to subscribe to the Turret Views and Reviews YouTube channel.